Hey, all, welcome to Shoot Your Shot Saturday, where we basically take your comments and questions and feedback, and I make well, not make a topic out of it, but I take it and I spin it into a topic to discuss over while having a drink. It's kind of old school, I think, in a way, as you know on the channel, where it's just, you and me just having a conversation, just discussing things like topics, whatever it may be. People don't do enough of that anymore. Everybody's always like this, or looking at a screen somewhere, or getting their news from somebody on the television telling you get the idea. So we're going old school, like where people used to go to bars and just sit down and talk. Sometimes people you know, I mean, that still happens somewhat, but again, a lot of people are absorbed in this, so you don't really see as much of that. But a lot of times you go out, see somebody you didn't know, and you just strike up a conversation on something, and you get dialogue, and it was really cool. So we're gonna bring that back, kind of old school. So those vlogs are on Wednesday, so and they're kind of based around the coffee shop and the fun sunny spots, which we're gonna get more of those now that the weather's getting better. I can get on that motorcycle and start riding different places. If you're curious, I ride a Harley. Um, but get out there and have do shots at certain places and have these discussions from locations. Get out there to different coffee shops, as you know, that's part of the description. So we're getting there. So I just need you to like and subscribe if you like the content, and hopefully you do. Leave some comments on that, and then without further ado, let's get into our topic today. Well, I guess let's first get into what we're drinking today. So I kind of flashed a minute ago, but we got some Knob Creek smoked maple bourbon whiskey. Um, it's good stuff. Like it has a bite to it, but it's not a bad bite where you're like, oh my god, like this is rough. It's not smooth as Irish whiskey, but it's good for Saturday afternoon, a lazy day where we did some domestic stuff, some cleaning, some chores, getting ready to go get a haircut in a little bit, get cleaned up for the week. So that's always a fun day. I might take you along for that one day on the main vlog on kind of haircut day. Because for me, it's important. My bi-weekly haircuts are that's my thing. So without further ado, the topic today is how not to be awkward in social situations. Again, how not to be awkward in social situations. Topic near and dear to me. It's not going to be from again, I'm an expert on nothing, but have a lot of experience on many things. So it's not going to be from the perspective of psychology or any of that type of stuff. It's going to be just my take on things and many other people's takes on things, and just kind of mesh that together. And I think we'll get a little techie maybe for a minute, but so my breakdown of this is that I think there are three types of people in a social situation that could be, can come off awkward. The super shy person, for lack of a better term, and me keeping this family friendly, the jerk, and then the person who's like in between where they're not shy necessarily. They're not a jerk either. They're just like a person who again just doesn't know the environment. We're gonna spin this from you go somewhere where it's like a work event, a party you're invited to by a mutual friend, so you don't know a lot of people there. Um, it could be like a community event where you get again invited to it. Could be like they have like a lot of towns have like around here we have home days around Labor Day where it's just a big celebration. Everybody can come from the neighborhood, so you may not know anybody or know a lot of people there. Stuff like that, situations you're out of control at because it's a different ball game. If you're the one in control, like I'm hosting a party, I'm inviting the people, so hopefully I'm not awkward at my own party socially. So it's from that standpoint. So let's get into the first topic here, the first type of person. Let's have a sip here of this. That's good. So, um, and like I said, with my whiskeys and bourbons, I always like to get a little smell at first, get the aroma going, but clear out the old sinuses. Uh, with that said, the shy person. So the shy type of person, I think it gets back to that statement, it takes a village to raise a child. Kind of same thing when dealing with a person who's shy. It takes all of us being good people to help someone. Because if you know someone's a shyer person, make sure if you know they're going to the same party, so like a work function, we know it's going to be an event, reach out to them, see if they're going to go. Like if you're a more outgoing person, if you know a lot of people there, it may not be that they're not good at making friends necessarily. 'Cause you can be shy and introverted and good at making friends. Um, it could be just again they don't know a lot of people. They just started the company, or again if it's a mutual friend inviting to the party. But again, it's going to be a lot of other people there, so they may not be able to just spend time with one person. They're going to try to see everybody, wherever it may be. Try to be a good friend, I would say, and make sure they're there. Like say, hey, text them, be like, hey, what time are you going? So make sure I'm there at the same time around. So that way, one, they're not just hanging around waiting. Because I think we've all been in that boat, whether you're shy or not, where you've gone somewhere where you didn't know everybody or know a lot of people, and you get there before anybody you know is there, and then you're kind of like, and then some people are, in those situations still will just be social butterflies, zip in there and go. Um, but again, we probably a lot of us have been on the side of the coin where we're not the social butterfly in that case, and it was a little weird and just trying to kind of navigate. And hopefully, you ran into good people who kind of welcomed you and ushered you in until people you knew got there. But again, first start with that. Hopefully, you have a good friend or someone you know enough. Again, that gets in the second point of that is somebody you know well enough, because again, you may be starting out the job or wherever, new place or moving to a new town, and you kind of know some people, but you don't know them well. They're not necessarily, they may be acquaintances, maybe kind of a friend, and probably will be your friend one day, um, or a friend in the looser term of like, again, you kind of have some common interests, but you're not like super close yet. So hopefully they can help you out and guide you to the right people and navigate you through the room. If you don't have anything like that, and literally, my advice would be try to read body language and cues when you go somewhere. Notice the difference between like a closed conversation and like an open conversation. If you see a group of people, and I told you we get a little techie, a little psychology, but and reading people. But again, just the body language may be different. Maybe we'll get on that topic. So ask in the comments if you want to see that, something more discussing like body language types and postures and things like that. But if you notice it's like an open conversation, we're going to assume you know what the differences are. Open, then yeah, that's the group you kind of mingle into. Maybe you can just sit there and observe. Don't necessarily start chiming in on stuff unless they ask. Don't just welcome, introduce yourself if people are already actively having a conversation, which I'm sure you would know that already. But just saying, like, again, if you're trying to not be awkward, which I've seen that happen, where people have run in, and it just happened last week to me, actually, an event where someone did that and kind of was like, okay, it's a little strange because I see them normally and they don't say much of anything, which is nothing wrong with that. Because I'll acknowledge and smile and try to, but they sit by. But then they kind of kind of bum rushed. I'm like, whoa, like, hey. So there's again nothing wrong with that. But again, that was their personality because they are kind of a quieter person. Just they really wanted to try to get to know and find out like what I did and all that stuff. And so, but again, just kind of just blend in, see what's going on, read them, and people are talking to you. Start interacting in the conversation as it makes sense. If it's kind of more of a closed conversation, you got in there, you can tell that people kind of want to hear Jeff say, but they really don't. They're just being nice if you say it. Try to read that, gauge it, and get out of that situation. Find another place, or maybe hang out. Like I said, good place to meet people and talk, and where it's no less pressures. In the drink line, there's a drink line or a line for food, then get in that line. That's a good way to maybe talk to people in that line, just kind of, make a friend or something like that, or get someone that at least if you make that connection, then you can kind of work that room, maybe get back around to them, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we were talking a second ago, and then that the people who they may be with will look over like, oh, okay, they're cool because they're talking there. So that a lot of times helps. Next person, the jerk. The jerk, again, lack of a better term, is a person who just too much. They come in over the top. They want to impress people, but they do it in a way that ends up rubbing people wrong sometimes. Um, and they think it's a good thing they're doing. Is not a good example of that. The person who likes to one up people with things. You're having a conversation about something like a watch in this case, and this is a true story actually. Loosely, I'm gonna give minor details, but talking to a person about my watch one time because we were at an event where we're into that type of stuff, and they were talking about the one they had on, which is cool. We're going fine, but then they get into this thing of one upping, like, oh, well, I got this one. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. I collect watches, so I'm like, yeah, I got one of those too, or whatever, something the same brand, not the same watch, but and then they get into, well, what else you have? Like, it's like getting to the point, like, the way they're going about it's like, okay, we're not doing this because it's weird. I don't know if you're trying to flex or what, and even if you are, like, I just don't go there. Like, I have what I have, and people know somewhat what I have, But again, it's around people who I know who have this or that. And that's what you should think about your audience. If you're in a place where you have a lot of people who have things and have nice things, then you can talk about stuff. Again, you don't want to brag. Don't brag and things like that. Don't talk about prices. That's tacky. But you can talk a little bit more loosely about it. No one's gonna get probably uncomfortable about it. Even in this case, I was just because I could see they're a nice person. Don't get me wrong, because I hung out them, met not hung out, but met them other times. They're nice, but they try too hard, and I think they're trying to not be that way, but comes off wrong. Um, but don't flex because again, you don't know if you're in a room with people who are all like on the same professional level with you, financial level, where it may be. I hate to use the term level, but that's just what it is. Um, in that case, but or if it's someone who say again they may not have the same type of income or same things as you, and it may not bug or bother them, but you don't know that, and it's rude to do that. You know, you don't want to be bragging about having a gazillion-dollar watch or car or whatever like that, and then you're standing in the room with people who are, say, like, you know, a secretary or something like that who's working hard, but, you know, paycheck to paycheck. Maybe a secretary may not be, but for sake of example, it's just not cool to do. It's not fun. It's not pleasant for anybody. The last person I will say is the mix of things where they not may not be shy, but you just don't know anybody. Like you're literally there and you don't know anybody. The nice part about you is that, in theory, my advice is that you can walk in because you may not have anxiety of talking to new people. It's just walk in and start talking to people. As long as it makes sense. Back to the whole social cues. If you see a group of people, if they're closed off versus like opened up to people kind of getting involved. But again, the same principle, that drink line, that food line, good way to talk to people. Have your speech prepared in your head, your elevator speech, I would say, that you're ready to give the rattle off, like, hey, my name's XYZ. If it's a work event, I'm in this department. You know, I think we've been in meetings together, but I don't know what you do. You know, tell me a little more about it. You know, things like that. If it's work, if it's like a social thing you get invited to, some kind of party or gathering, then I mean, don't drag work into it. Unless somebody who does work with you, that's a way to get into the conversation. But you know, maybe again, say I like your shirt or whatever. I like your shoes or whatever it may be, or I like your watch. Like, you know, what is that? You know, I've seen those or something. Just get the conversation going, talk a little bit more, see what they have to say, and get that feedback. If it seems like they don't want to have anything to do with you, don't try too hard in those cases like that. Even if it's just you're trying to meet people, make friends, that you don't need that friend. Um, just keep going. So the moral of the story is back to that. It's a nice segue. Is just being kind to people. Like if you see people who look like they're new somewhere and you don't know them, doesn't mean you don't talk to them or you don't wait for them to come to you. Um, Walk up to them. You know, again, you have to be able to read too the opposite way. If you see someone who really just wants to be alone, then don't do that because they may not for where they could be dealing with something, going through something, and sometimes you have to use your judgment that you still may be a good idea to talk to them because you don't know what they're going through. They may need to talk to somebody, but the moral is be kind. You know, again, if I see someone at an event and I see they're kind of looking around like they want to blend in, or if they're kind of staying there quietly in the conversation, like, you know, just say, what do you think about this? You know, something. They're doing way, don't put them on the spot. Like, it depends what you're talking about. If it's something you don't know, they may know anything about. But you never know what people may know too. On the flip side of that, but again, use your judgment, common sense. We're all adults here. Common sense, a judgment on things like that. But be kind. You know, that's all I can say. That's the lifelong lesson, especially these days. So if you like the topic, you know, leave a comment. You know, what do you think about being socially awkward, how to handle situations, or examples of situations you've been in where you felt like you're the socially awkward one. We've all been there. We're all in this boat together on that one. No matter how popular you are or unpopular you are, or how good with people you are or aren't, we've all been there in certain situations where we were not the we were on the awkward end of things. So, or we were that person who was trying to navigate a room or something. Let me know. Let me know again on your favorite beverages. If you have something out there you want me to try, let me know. If you want to have a drink with me, there's a link down there. You can buy me a shot, and I will go where a bar and buy the shot you recommend, and you know we can talk about whatever the topic you want to talk about. So you can be like a little sponsor of that video if you think about it. Um, so yeah, until next time, look forward to having this conversation next week, and stay tuned for more updates in those YouTube shorts on what's coming next. All right, everyone. Cheers. Take care.